Hey, everybody, welcome to another quotable episode of Phil on the Mic. I, as always, am Darrin, and with me, the man who has not been here for a few weeks, and he's finally back. I don't know if you saw him last night, but if you watch the State of the Union, Joe Biden's first State of the Union address, Phil acted as a seat filler when people had to go to the bathroom. Mr. Phil Calise is back, baby, from his birthday.
I'm back. 40 in the books, 40 in now a week and a half or whatever I am. Damn. It's good to be back. Good to see your face. Good to be on the cast.
See you too, man. Can I just ask you a question? Why do you have to take like 3 weeks off for your birthday?
40. It's 40. It's a big one. Okay, 2 of those weeks were spent in depression. A few of the days were spent celebrating and then back in depression. And now I'm here. So it was a journey. I was going through the journey. By the way, if we get a chance, if anybody gets a chance, when you go back and you're obviously all listening to this now, we're go back and listen to how you announced your name. I think you were going for a Joe Biden impression because you definitely slurred the heck out of Darrin Michael. So we're going to have to go back. Oh yeah, 100%. You're going to have to go back. It's going to be hilarious. You were like, I was like, that's Joe.
No. Yeah, I tend to slur my words when I talk anyway, but
you were rushing. You were Russian. Yeah. Get it?
Dude, that is so funny. That is so funny. Yeah, I was trying to Ukraine it. Get it?
No, we're bringing all the jokes.
No, that wasn't a joke. That just didn't make any sense. That's why I thought that one was funny.
What do you mean?
Ukraine it? I mean, what does that even mean? I don't know.
Well, it sounded good enough. I was going.
Listen, we could spend hours talking about
dad jokes.
talking about Ukraine and Russia. That you had mentioned to me a Max Scherzer tweet, and I know you kind of botched it, or not a Max Scherzer tweet, whatever it was.
Yeah, sure.
I thought it was kind of funny. I think you need to say it again and try to get it right.
I got a couple jokes. I can lay a couple jokes. We could change the whole segment of this show and just do jokes with Phil. I mean, I did when unfortunately, not to make light of, this potentially devastating war that's going on with Russia and Ukraine, but I read something, it was before MLB decided to strike. And I guess there was some momentum around them actually making a deal. And there was a tweet that went out to the effect of Joe Biden's tapping in Max Scherzer, sending him directly to Ukraine because he's got like a lifetime 68.8 war. And it was like a little I think it's a little light humor on the stupidity of the war in Major League Baseball.
Yeah,
it's funny. So
it is funny on multiple fronts that we don't really need to get into. But I thought that was good because I mentioned this is a quotable show, and I want to do things a little bit different this time. There's been a whole bunch of really good quotes that have come out in the past week or two. And what I want to do is I want to throw them at you, and chances are you've heard of some, probably not others, and just tell me what you think. And I think some of the quotes are pretty funny. But before I do that, I have some big news. I have some huge Pilates news for you.
Pilates. Okay.
I don't know if I told you this, but you remember a few months ago, I was the
weekly champion.
I was the weekly champion. No, I was just the weekly spotlight member.
Right. Oh yeah. You're like the guy. Yeah. You're like at the supermarket, and then we're like, Dave won Employee of the Week.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave.
Something like that. Yeah. It was like Pilates Guest of the Month. It was whatever it was. But anyway, yes. So I get this email from somebody who does marketing on the corporate level.
Okay.
She's like, Mr. Michael, hi, I'm so and so from Pilates Corporate. We really enjoyed your member spotlight. We loved your energy and enthusiasm. And we're hoping that you would allow us to put that on our national website. And I said yes. And I will.
You get a little Phil on the mic in there?
I'm like, I'm trying to. I wanted to, and I probably
Can you just do a Phil in the mic picture? Like, can you do a picture and send it in like that even? Well, you got to move your.
I actually have to write like a little blog about myself. So I may do that. What
do you got to lose?
Yeah, I'll mention that I'm also a co-host of the incredibly popular
with hundreds of views.
Lifetime, we've got
thousands of views.
Over 2 years, we've got thousands of views.
We are crushing it.
So I'll mention that. I'll definitely mention that. But I thought that was pretty cool. And my first reaction was, okay, what can I do to get like an unlimited lifetime membership? put me in a campaign. You don't have to pay me. Just give me free Pilates for the rest of my life.
That's awesome.
But I don't think they're going to go for that. But
we'll
see. We'll see, man. It was exciting when it comes out. I will let you know. Everybody can go to Club Pilates. It's incredible PR for Club Pilates to have one of the co-hosts of Phil on the mic. I mean,
I just got a flashback.
Truly a celebrity.
Or I just got this image of us 6 minutes into our next show going, and this show is brought to you by Pilates. Darrin, take it away.
It's Club Pilates.
This episode is brought to you by Club Pilates, where you can go work your brains out. What do you do at Pilates? Give me a 10-second blurb.
You work
Pilates
out.
in a nutshell, 10 seconds. Give it to me in layman's terms.
All right. It helps you with strength training, flexibility, and balance. How's that?
I love it. Strength training, flexibility, and balance. Also sounds like it could have been on an episode of Cobra Kai. Brought to you by Miyagi in Okinawa. Daniel-san, you need flexibility, agility.
Well, listen. Since you're bringing up Cobra Kai, man, you finally finished it.
4 seasons in. Check 1 season. Check 2. Check 3. Check 4. Lots of drama going on in Cobra Kai.
A man finally watched some TV. I love it.
I think we had a conversation. I recollect being outside in the backyard in maybe July. And you saying to me, hey, why don't you watch Cobra Kai? It's really good. And I said, all right. And I watched a couple of episodes, and then months went by and I was stuck in a couple of episodes. And now 4 seasons I'm in. Now I'm just waiting to see. This is what I don't like. Now I'm waiting on a season 5 that's not out yet.
That's the problem. But what are your thoughts though? What are your thoughts? And remind us how it ended. I can't even remember how the season ended.
So season 4 ended with the big All Valley tournament where it was the triple competition. It was men's, women's, and the skills competition. And the Cobra Kai, end up winning it. But the kid with the mohawk, who now doesn't have the mohawk.
No, he won
for Miyagi.
He won it. Yeah, that was awesome.
Beat Johnny Lawrence's son, whose name's escaping me at the moment.
That was awesome.
Then the crazy chick beat LaRusso's daughter. She's got a lot going on, actually. Nice backstory on her. Maybe she's got a tough life. She's not a crazy chick.
It seems like it.
Yeah,
it seems like it.
I love how nowadays we always write the nice backstory to make even the serial killer be rooted for. He only chopped 24 heads off, but look, he didn't get a candy bar when he was 3. It all makes sense. And then his grandma threw a cat at him and lit his hair on fire when he was 9. I know why he became, Jeffrey Dahmer. I understand. Everybody's got a backstory.
I think that makes sense. It's a way to make characters likable. Exactly. But I remember because the one guy, he actually had the Cobra Kai guy arrested. So now he's taken over Cobra Kai.
So that was the big drama. The man bun guy, I forget his name. Man bun, we'll just call him Man Bun. Took out John Kreese. By the way, interesting fact, my wife and I watch the show. We do not watch TV very much, okay? I'm a travel baseball coach, Little League baseball coach, assistant basketball coach.
Jeez.
Father of 3 who watches sports when I do have downtime. And so we don't watch shows together. So we've actually watched this whole show together. And my wife cannot stand John Kreese. And I love the guy. I love him.
Why?
I just love John Kreese. And his backstory just resonated with me. The dude's in Vietnam. He's got to fight the guy on the pit, knock him into the cobras. He steps on his hand, even though we're about to get him out of jail, wherever he's at, captive by the Vietnamese.
That's right.
He just resonates with me. I feel like he could be a family member.
He's a likable character. He's a
likable bad guy. He's a likable bad guy. He's got a nice background. The other idiot, though, I don't like with the man bun. Because he just looks like a spoiled, artsy fartsy dude who. And
and the funny thing is they're supposed to be the same age, and there's like a 15-20 year difference between the guys.
But I'm rooting for John Kreese. But obviously, when season 5 starts, he's in jail. There's going to be Cobra Kai set up like Starbucks in Manhattan on every corner, is what I'm envisioning. Johnny Lawrence, Mcgill ran off to Mexico to go find his dad. Johnny Lawrence is banging his mom, not his own mom. That would be a problem.
Thank God.
Daniel LaRusse is still slinging cars.
No, and Daniel and Johnny are teaming up though, aren't they? Or they're trying to team up.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to call themselves Miyagi Fang. Bad name. Don't like it.
Dude, that's a great name. Miyagi.
I'm gonna get a shirt that says. By the way, I have 2 Cobra Kai shirts because my cousin, who's been trying to get me to watch it longer than you have, in her attempt to get me to watch it, bought me a Cobra Kai shirt and a Miyagi shirt, just so like to remind me to watch it. So I have 2 shirts.
Okay, do you wear those?
Yeah, of course. Why not? If it's free, I'll wear it.
I got some free shirts I can send you. If you want to wear those, you're more than welcome to.
Free shirt, it gets in the rotation.
But yeah, you know what? You want to hear something funny though? The guy that plays Kreese, right? He's an actor. He's what is he? 70. He's going to be 76 years old this year. All right. He's
Daniel Russo's like almost 60 something, right?
I know. I think he's in his upper 50s. But that's not even the thing. So I looked him up on IMDb, and he's had 228 roles in movies and shows. Okay. Can you name anything this guy has been in besides Karate Kid?
Yeah, he was on The Love Boat.
Well, everybody was on The Love Boat. That doesn't count.
I just made that up.
He was on The Love Boat in Fantasy Island in the 70s.
He was on The Love Boat. He was on Gilligan's Island. He was on Under Siege. He was in Under Siege with Steven Seagal, and he was in.
You're really, but I thought that was kind of.
I'm
funny,
thinking I'm thinking of random movies though that I want to see right now. I'd like to watch Under Siege.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I like when the girl pops out of the cake.
Girl pops out of the cake. Oh yeah.
No,
yeah.
Like, she's like topless, and
I like the guy. Yeah,
I was like a little kid, and I'm like all giddy. I'm like, boobies.
You would still do that, so stop.
I know. That was last week, actually. I gotta be honest with you.
Darrin, your mom caught you last week doing that stuff. Stop it.
All right, so listen. Let's start with some of these quotes, man. I want you to tell me what you think. All right,
am I supposed to name who said the quote? Is this name
no,
that quote?
No, it's not that kind of quotes. Just tell me what you think. I mean, some of these quotes are so ridiculous, but just tell me what you think, and I'll try to put them into context the best I can.
All right, let's do it.
So your man Dominik Hasek, you know who he is?
Goaltender. Yes. Buffalo Sabres years ago.
Yes, he's a Hockey Hall of Famer. He feels that the NHL should go and suspend all Russian hockey players.
Did he say, we must go find the Ruskies and we must put them in the prison?
I don't know if he actually...
Shop the Rusk, Putin, you die. I don't know. Do I agree with it? No, I don't think that's a great idea.
Aren't you speaking with a Russian accent? The guy's not Russian.
I mean, I think in Ukraine they speak...
I don't know where he's from.
Dominik Hasek? I I thought he's from that area. He's from like the Czech Republic.
I think he's from Czech Republic. Yeah, I don't know what a Czech accent is.
I'm gonna say they all sound like Ruskies. Can you say Ruskies?
I don't know if you can or not, but let's just go with it. Let's just go with it. So basically, he's saying, okay, because Putin invaded Ukraine, all these guys that have been in the U.S. that just happen to be from Russia should be suspended because of that. I mean, don't you think that's a little ridiculous?
Very ridiculous.
I'm listening to that and I'm like,
I think that's a terrible idea.
All right, let's go on to the next one. My man Goose Gossage. Dude, I'm gonna ask him to be on the show because I think we might be able. See, the only problem with putting him on the show is
let me know how fast that no comes back.
He is far to the right. And that conversation, and he is very, very blunt and honest. I know we try to stay away from politics.
So who cares? Let him go far to the right. We'll go far to the left. We'll meet in the middle and have a good talk. You down with AOC? Yeah, you know me. I'll do that. He'll get off the call.
One of these. But he had mentioned that he wants, due to this whole strike thing, he wants to punch Manfred in the face.
And he
wants to throw Brian Cashman in a trash can.
The trash man.
Brian, the trash man, Cash man.
I like it. Oh, well, like Brian Cashman could fit in a trash can.
Like you can always count on Goose Gossage to throw some crazy stuff.
If we could get Goose Gossage on, I might do a 30-second straight intro as Goose. I only could do it for about 5 seconds.
Yeah, it's only about 5. You run out of oxygen.
You run out of 5 seconds, and then you pass out, and the podcast is over. I'm just in a jovial mood right now.
So I thought that was hysterical. I mean, the guy comes right out and says, "I would like to punch Manfred and stick Cashman in a trash can."
I think he'd have to line up in a long line of major league players that want to punch Manfred.
Yeah, he's got to get to that. But he's all
teaser. We'll get to that shortly.
All right, next quote. And I love this one. This is Candace Owens. All right, we know that she is a conservative personality. I think that LeBron is a well-meaning person, but I just don't think he's that smart. I think LeBron is low IQ. What do you think about that? Is he, you think he's a low IQ'd individual and that's why he keeps putting his foot in his mouth about everything?
Do I think, I mean, listen, it's hard for me to ever, and I hate this, but it's hard for me to ever I don't want to make money the be all end all, because it's not. And you see lots of people do bad things even when they're rich, but it's hard to knock a dude that's close to a billionaire, who's the top 3 greatest at his profession of all time, because he just maybe doesn't know everything about everything. He probably should keep some of it to himself, but is he low IQ? I mean, I don't know. If I was on my path to greatness in sports by 15 years old, I probably would have stopped reading. Honestly, I'd have paid someone to read for me. Read me this sentence.
And listen, that's probably what he does.
I'm sure
anyway.
He's not super book smart, right? I mean, he's probably not. Are you gonna just blow your nose on our podcast?
No, but I'm wiping my nose.
I feel like we're getting way too comfortable with our viewers.
Oh, I was gonna have lunch too, but I'm not.
Can we? I know. Can we eat on a podcast? We're gonna take a vote. Let's put a vote in the comment section. People care if we eat. A lot of times we do these during lunch breaks, and I'm hungry.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. So anyway, I think LeBron is just a friggin' idiot. That's all. I just think he's ignorant. But plain and simple. And he just annoys me. Just everything that comes out of his mouth. You
hate him. We know this.
With a passion. All right.
Too.
JJ Redick, the great.
Don't say the great anything.
I'm not going to say the great anything. the JJ Redick. I guess he's like a commentator now. He was talking about your boy Zion Williamson. As you may or may not know, it looks like he's going to require another surgery on his foot. And I think he's ballooned up to 580 pounds. I'm not sure, though. So what he said was, you're fully invested in your body, your work, and your teammates. That is your responsibility. And we have not seen that in Zion. Is Zion just really immature and he needs to grow up? Or is this guy just never going to come around?
I mean, if I was the New Orleans Pelicans, right? That's where he resides currently.
Yeah. I
would literally lock him in a room with 20 of the greatest chefs in the world and say, you could have a different one for every day of the week for variety. You're going to eat a certain way. You're going to have 5 hours of exercise every day. And we're going to invest in you, not to leave it up to a 19 or 20-year-old kid to make bad choices. I would literally make his life be so regimented, but in good ways, with nutrition and health and working out, and because his talent is off the charts. But if he's left to his own devices, clearly he can't put down the Big Mac.
When he's on the court, he's incredible. The problem is I read about this. His new workout buddy is Andy Reid. So what they're doing is they go to either McDonald's or Burger King, whatever, and they practice lifting multiple burgers at a time and put them into their mouths. So that's really the problem with that guy. But seriously, I mean, doesn't that make you angry? This guy has got all the talent and all the ability in the world, but he's just too focused on stuffing his face and laying on his couch.
I mean, making a lot of bad health choices. Yeah.
It just pisses me off. It just pisses me off. All right, next one. You tell me if you agree with this. All right, this was from the great spring training slugger, Jock Peterson. This guy crushes the ball in spring training, then he gets to the majors and bats 200. It's official. We will play 162 games, 7 innings each, and 32 teams make the playoffs, and everyone gets a participation trophy. Is that what Major League Baseball should end up doing in the end?
99.9% sure he's mocking the whole situation, right?
Exactly.
No, listen, I don't want to. We'll talk about baseball. I understand the players' frustration. I tend to lean pro owner in usual labor disputes, in general, right? I always tend to lean with the guys writing the checks more than the guys cashing.
Of course.
But I do think there's some things that I feel strongly about that, the players have a right to push the envelope this time.
We'll get into that, because I have a feeling you and I are probably going to be on different sides with a lot of these things.
I like that.
No, it's good. I have 2 more quotes. One of these is, I don't know who said this, but I thought this was hysterical. Bobby Bonilla might be the highest paid baseball player this year.
Facts,
Right?
Bobby Bo.
No,
And an owner that finally embraced the stupidity of it and like
it's
makes the big lotto check and like makes a big day out of it.
oh,
And
it's
like,
freaking
I love that he
hysterical.
does it because he's like,
It's so
that's,
funny.
I find that change in my couch now. Like we have
Yeah,
new
yeah.
ownership.
It's
He's
like
all right.
it's like that's just part of the
He
gig.
appreciates Bobby Bonilla for negotiating such a fantastic deal for himself.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
And you utilize that for PR, and it's good PR for Bobby Bonilla too.
Good PR.
Think about how
he
Bobby.
said he's going to have. He said from this year on. Now, who knows with the lockout? But from this year on, he said he was having Bobby Bonilla Day, and Bobby Bonilla has to come to the stadium and collect his big, giant, oversized check. That's the greatest thing ever.
Oh, it's hysterical. You know what that reminds me? It reminds me of a guy named Bill Veeck. I don't know if you know who that is. He's a
The name. Yeah, I do know the name.
He's an old time owner, and he used to do crazy things like that. He's the one that put that the little person in for that at bat. Remember that? Eddie Gadell, and his number was like 3/4 or 7/8.
Yeah,
it was something like that. And he walked on 4 pitches, then came out of a game for a pinch runner. I mean, that was it.
Hilarious.
So that's what this guy kind of reminds me of with this. But I think it's fantastic, and not only that, it's a great way for Bobby Bonilla to stay relevant.
It's the greatest thing ever.
His name
also
is out
the
there
greatest
everywhere.
way for Bobby Bonilla to never run out of money.
That's right. That's right. You know that's coming for forever. And he you know what, he could even, if it's successful, he could even parlay this into a longer payday too.
Yeah.
You know, Bobby Bonilla Day could be a thing every year. All right. This quote came from, and I don't know if you had heard anything about this, Phil Mickelson. So he's talking about the Saudi Arabia wants to come up with this like super golf league. Okay. And his response was, those are some scary MFers to get involved with. We know they killed Khashoggi and have a horrible record on human rights. They execute people over there for being gay. Okay. That's his quote.
Was that his whole quote? Was that the whole thing?
That was, there might've been more to it, but that was a big part of it. And, and because of that, KPMG, Workday, Amstel, and Callaway have decided to drop him as endorsers. So he no longer represents those 4 companies because he made a comment, a negative comment, I guess, about the truth of what happened with Saudi Arabia. I mean, is it true that they killed that guy? Yeah. Is it true that they execute people for being gay? As far as I know, that there is some truth behind that. So he spoke the truth. He said, listen, those guys are just MFers. Should he really lose all those endorsements because of that? Or is that just part of woke culture nowadays?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know the whole quote, so I know the quote you're reading to me. I heard other people's analysis of things, but without it being in the context of the quote.
Yeah.
Listen, he's not entitled to those endorsement deals, right? Endorsement deals are predicated on the idea that you're a good,
that's true.
Bring a good ambassador to the brand, and you don't bring undue negative attention to the brand, right? So there's a 1,000 outs in all of those contracts.
Of course,
those are pure.
Of course,
be a good citizen, be a good brand ambassador. Don't do stupid stuff. Don't say controversial stuff, and we'll pay you absurd amounts of money. So just on the face of it, yeah, they have a right to pull it. It's not like air or whatever. It's not something he's entitled to.
True.
But yeah, I mean, you get into like these things that are said. He's on the quote unquote wrong side of the cancel culture leans one way. So you could say lots of things that are this is just a fact. This isn't political. You could say lots of controversial things. If it's with the people that make all the noise, everything's fine.
Yeah.
If it's going against that crowd, that tends to be they call them the Twitter checkmark, blue checkmark people. If you're against that crowd, then they're going to go after you. They're going to go after your sponsors. They're going to go after endorsements, and they're going to be difficult. And most of these big companies cave to it all. Yep, so, whether you want to call it the woke this, the woke that, I mean, they just cave to it. So I would like to say Phil Mickelson is 50-something years old. He should be smart enough then to say extremely controversial things if he doesn't want the fallback or the brushback that comes with it, because the guy's listen, and I don't care about Phil Mickelson. He's actually one of my favorite golfers, purely golf wise. In terms of like, he has so much money. I don't care that he lost an endorsement deal. So like, I don't care about that end of it because the guy's got so much money.
Oh, but do you think that comes into play though? The fact that the guy, I think the guy's worth like $500 million. So, I mean, this guy's been making so much money for a long time. Yeah. That comes into play when guys have that much money that they know they're set for generations to come, that they just don't care. It's like, I'll just say whatever the hell I want. I don't really care.
And I don't even know the context in which he said it. Did he say it and it got leaked? Like, was he actually trying to keep it private, or was he like outwardly saying it? Because if he was outwardly saying it, then he probably didn't care about the fallout. And I don't know. I wasn't really locked into that. I only saw
I think
from afar.
I think it was an interview personally. And I have
so
to
it might have been an
that.
interview that they published that he either maybe said was either, I don't know if he defended it like it was taken out of context, or did he just do his apology because he was told to apologize?
He probably, as soon as all these companies started pulling out, I'm sure that's what happened.
He did.
But allegedly they also left the door open to come back as sponsors. So you know how it is with these people. They come back anyway. I mean, remember when Tiger Woods was going through this whole thing and he was dropped by everybody? He has all the sponsors back. I mean, Phil
Mickelson is on the back nine of his golf career. He's at the 18th hole. I mean, he is at the end of his career, right? So it's like, it's not as hard to pull sponsorships from a guy who's 50 something than if he was 38 winning.
I'm still trying to figure out how to react to these horrible dad jokes that you're throwing out there.
These are solid, on the money.
I think he's younger. I think he's younger than you think. I think he's
in his 50s.
Is he? You think he's 50? That means that
he's past 50.
That means, but he could play in the senior tour now because I think the age is 50 and he's still.
Yeah, but the only guys that play in the senior tour are the guys that didn't make $18 trillion.
Well, that's also true.
Do these guys still want to play in the senior tour now that they have $800 million without ever finishing in the top 5? You ever see these guys, how much money they make? They don't even win anything and they make globs of money.
It's pretty crazy. All right, cool. That was fun, man. I enjoyed that. There was a lot of quotes. There was actually a couple more that I thought were hysterical, but I mean, we could only do so much.
You can only handle so much of my humor too. He's 51. Phil Mickelson's 51.
Okay, so he's right there. All right, let's go with the big topic of the day, and that is the MLB Lockout. So it's the first time in 27 years that regular season games are actually canceled. And so far, it's been the first 2 series of the regular season, which is about 90 games. Okay, so I wanted to just talk about a couple things that I know the players and the owners are far apart in, and you can tell me what your thoughts are on this. Okay, one of the big topics is the luxury tax. And the owners are like, listen, you know what? We don't want this thing to go up. We like it the way it is. So it's at 220 million right now. And they're saying that in 5 years, they want it going up to 230, and that's it. Players are saying, hey, we want it to start at 238 this year, and we want it to go up to 263 in 5 years. What are your thoughts on this whole luxury tax / salary cap?
Well, I would like to start by saying that I was incorrect. I really thought that it wouldn't come to this. I thought they would get 162 game season in, and I felt actually like when they announced they extended the deadline by a day because they had worked till 2 a.m.
They were right there.
That was right there. They were at the 1 yard line going in for the touchdown, and then Russell Wilson threw the pass instead of handing it to Marshawn Lynch, and we know what happened. So that's what I thought was going to happen. But it's not hard to see how they didn't get there in the end, because they were like in opposite stratospheres of negotiating points.
Terrible.
What you found out was, based on now that we're in an extended lockout with canceled games, what you found out is that those 2 positions by ownership and the Players Association wasn't as much of a posturing as it was really firmly rooted in what they believed to be the right positioning. So they were really far apart, and really the dozen offers that I seem to read over the 9 days or whatever they printed, and who knows how true any of it was, there was very little movement on either side.
It doesn't
like there really wasn't that much movement. It's like, me and you talking about what you're going to pay me to do this show next year, and you go 0, Phil, and I go, I want $1 million. And then we go, let's work it out. We're not that far apart. And 12 negotiations later, you're like, all right, $1,000, Phil. And I go, all right, how about 950,000?
Exactly,
and that's
right.
Literally what happened over the last 9 days. Like they just didn't move that much. And then it sounds like the owners, even when they were moving a little bit, were tying back in the playoff 14 team thing, and tying in other things where it was like, even when we give you a little, we're taking it back in some other area.
That's right.
So there really wasn't much concessions at all.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Here's what I think. Here's my problem. So do you have questions? Do you want to just give
well, let me just, I told you about the luxury tax. Let me just talk about a couple other things. They were talking about pre-arbitration pool of new bonus money, and the owners went up to 25 million annually, and the players wanted 85 million initially with 5 million increases. So there's a big difference like you're talking about.
Huge.
The salaries, the minimum salaries weren't that off. The owners,
but it is a lot of money because 60% of the players make the minimum, right?
It's true.
So
it's true. I mean, it
ends up netting out to be, tens of millions, right? Doesn't it turn out to be tens of millions?
Listen, of course it's going to be more, but they've got the minimum salary. The owner said 700,000 and adding 10,000 a year. And the players said, no, we want to start at 725. Then next year we want to go to 745. And the year after that, we want to go to 765 and then just continue from there.
So just let me freeze for 1 second. No. I think the highest offer, unless I'm wrong, the owners made wasn't north of 700. I think it was like 675 or 650 was the final offer.
No, I read they came up to 700, but then they wanted small increments going forward.
Basically just flat, 700, but then be flat.
I think the way it was I think the owners potentially came up, but then they didn't want to. The players wanted to go like this. They wanted to jump, and the owners wanted to go up nice and slow and keep it low still. I think your analogy was perfect when you said that, here's them. They say, okay, Phil's going to get 0. He's asking for $1 million. Okay, we'll go up to 1,000. I'll come down to 950. You're still miles apart.
Right. They're not good faith. Right. That's the thing. I mean, so here's why I have a bit of a problem with. I'm gonna separate 3 things. I'm going to separate the players' asks, the owners' asks, and then like baseball's problems in general. Yeah. And I feel like this is the bigger picture. So baseball's become I think it's just a fact. Baseball has become the 3rd most popular sport in this country over the last 10 years. Basketball surpassed it in most metrics. It has in a lot of metrics.
I'm not 100% because basketball had their issues too. So
it has, but basketball is global, so it doesn't really. Baseball can't touch. Baseball can't touch basketball. Basketball is global. I mean, one deal with China and basketball's ahead of the United States.
Wait, with what country?
China.
Okay, I wasn't sure what you said there. Okay,
I haven't done that in a long time.
I know.
So baseball has a popularity, a declining sport. They're declining in popularity. They also have the biggest problem of all, which is that the most popular age group of a baseball fan is way too old.
Yeah.
So they're not modernizing the game in a way that brings younger fans to the table. So whether younger fans just don't get off their video games and they're losing them to stupid stuff, or whether they're all just going all in on football and basketball, because basketball is the most quote unquote exciting. Football is the sport that's always going to be number 1 because of the betting component.
Oh yeah.
Baseball has fallen into 3rd place. It'll never be 4th because there's more baseball fans in New York than hockey fans in the United States.
Because there's hockey.
And soccer's never going to get that popular in the United States outside of, up to 12-year-old rec soccer, because we can't even make the World Cup, let alone get popular in the US. So baseball's safe to be 3rd, but it's like being, the skinniest kid at fat camp. It's nothing to brag about. Being 3rd for baseball is just not that much to brag about.
You've used that analogy before, and I love that analogy.
I love it. I got to go to it because it's such a good one. So it's just good. So the thing is, who's protecting the interest of the game itself, right? This just further brings baseball to a more unpopular place. And the owners are going to argue, although I don't think successfully, the owners are going to say, we made reasonable offers. The players are being greedy. And the players are going to say, this is just had it coming, right? The owners have been really cheap for really long, but the popularity is declining and nobody's working on fixing it. We're not speeding up the game. We're not doing things that make it more exciting. Like we talked about this, if you want to go to extra innings, let's make it like a home run walk-off. Let's do some creative things after 12 innings. If you're putting these fake runners on base anyway, if you're manipulating the game, then do it where it's more exciting. So if you're going to do a little bit of a hockey shootout, then make it more exciting. Don't do some crappy thing. I just have a problem with the fact that this just further alienates the sport that I love the most.
Yeah.
And makes it become less popular. And then I don't disagree that the upper quadrant of Major League Baseball players probably have it the best, right? Like Max Scherzer pitching once every fifth day, making 35 or 40 million a year, probably has it the best of any sport. Superstar.
Yeah.
But the 60% of all of major league players that make the league minimum, and the league minimum is the lowest league minimum of the 4 major sports, but they play the longest calendar and the most days in a row without days off over a 8-month period, has it the worst of any sport. So like baseball, it's like kind of a microcosm of like the rich in the country and then the poor. And I know nobody's poor making 600 grand a year, 300,000 after taxes or whatever. But it's like the microcosm of, this isn't about Max Scherzer. This isn't about, this isn't about, pick your Mike Trout. This is about the guys that make the league for 3 or 4 seasons, never even get to an actual contract, make the league minimum.
Yeah.
And they probably toiled in the minors for 4 to 5 years on buses, making 25 grand a year. It's more about that group. So that's my issue. And you have these owners, and I don't pick on the Orioles because the Pirates and the Royals and the Marlins and Tampa, even though they're great at winning, so they're kind of like an asterisk because they figured out the secret formula.
Whole bunch of those teams. Yeah.
There's a lot of teams, they don't want to spend any money. They take the luxury tax of the rich people paying in, they pocket the money to make profit, and they don't even look to they don't even look for their team to be good.
It's true.
If every 10 years, a bunch of draft picks came together and put a good team on the field for a year or two, they're fine with that.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true.
And they keep the ticket prices reasonable, and they make it like it's like a glorified minor league baseball outing for a family of 4, even though the prices are still high.
Yeah.
Even though going to take a family of 5 to a baseball game is still way too expensive for a normal middle-class family.
It is.
But, you can get cheap tickets to the Pirates. It's cheaper. I will say this. It is cheaper for me to drive to Pittsburgh from New Jersey with my 2 boys, spend a night in a hotel, go to 2 games than it is to go to 1 game at Citi Field.
Yeah, I don't disagree. But
the Mets payroll will be 240 million and the Pirates payroll will be 60 million. So it's kind of like, that makes sense then.
Going back on one of the things you say, I think you make a really
and I rambled, so go ahead.
No, I think you made a really, really interesting point, and I love this. Nobody's looking out for the game itself. It's, to me, whether you're on the owner side or the player side, I don't really care. Mm-hmm. The fact of the matter is, nobody cares about the game itself. They're just looking out for themselves. And I understand it. I do. But this is a game that has more history than any other sport in this country. It's been around the longest. It's supposed to be America's pastime, right? It's not anymore. But, they're just, instead of arguing back and forth about all this stuff, let's come to some kind of compromise. Let's get the game moving, because you're going to lose fans again. It's going to be another situation where we don't have a McGuire and a Sosa hopped up on steroids that can go and hit 50 home runs in a month, back and forth all season long. That we don't have it anymore.
And who knows where the sport would be if that never happened. It was really struggling after 94.
Good point. It's a good point. But nobody wants to hear it. And let me tell you something, to the average American person, the average person out there that's saying, oh, the baseball players they're not happy with $700,000. I mean, really? That's my view too. I don't make $700,000 in a year. Okay. Mm-hmm. I wish I was, but until Phil and the Mike takes off, we're not going to be making that much money. So I can't sit here. I can't sit here and I can't feel bad for the owners, because these guys are all billionaires. I can't feel bad for the players. I know that 60% of them make the minimum, but Jesus, dude, $700,000 is a minimum salary. I would have loved to have that.
All right. So here's the thing. So here's what I would say about that. And I am always, and now we haven't been doing this podcast long enough, I am always pro owner. Almost always. Yeah. I am really not pro owner in this situation. I've said some of the reason why, but also I do think it is fair to say, and I know this argument is always said, and I've done it before too. Like, what, you can't live off 700,000 a year? Yes, of course. It's great. But if you were in the 0.1% of people that could do something, they're in a different category. Like we just joked about it last podcast, how 0.1% of people make the majors. Well, if you could be 0.1% of anybody in the world that's great at something, you're going to make a lot more than most people, just because you're the best of the best of the best at doing something, whatever that something is. But unless it's juggling, you're going to make some serious cash.
But how many people out there make $700,000?
How many people out there can hit a curveball that drops off a table or hit a 99-mile-an-hour fastball? Like the same people that would make the same 0.1%. Like,
listen,
listen,
we all have our talents, and there's plenty.
Mine is here, and I make zero for it.
That's
and I'm
right.
Pissed.
Exactly.
I want to raise.
Exactly. Of all the fill in the mic imitators out there, nobody comes close to the real thing.
No.
But at the end of the day, when you look at that, and your argument is valid up to a point, okay?
I'll take
How
it.
many people are the 0.1% of anything that are making $700,000? There's plenty of people out there that are not making $700,000. The best teacher in the world, the best elementary teacher in the world, does that person make $700,000? No, but the person that can hit a fastball, this person shapes minds. Shapes young minds. Hundreds a year.
Since this is a debate, let me counter it. Does the best elementary teacher in the world have people paying $47 for a hot dog to watch them teach? Damn straight they don't. That's where the money comes from.
All right. Why don't we pick a guy that you've
Sally
never heard
Cohen
of?
In the beautiful elementary school of Sunnyside Elementary.
Okay. Let's pick.
Doesn't get that.
All right. Let's pick somebody on the Mets.
Oof, we gotta go to the Mets.
That doesn't play much, okay, but makes $700,000 a year. Give me a name.
Doesn't play much, but makes $700,000 a year. Let's go with Tyler Mcgill. He's a second-year pitcher this year. Had a pretty good rookie year. He's just making the majors. He's a second-year pitcher this year.
Okay. Oh, mommy, can we go to the Mets game? I hear Tyler Mcgill is pitching today.
Tyler who? Who the hell that?
There goes your argument, my friend, man.
Who the hell Tyler Mcgill? That big doofy 6'8" kid making $710,000 has to apologize to Darrin. He makes too much.
Meanwhile, your 7-year-old second grader sees Mrs. Cohen out at the ice cream shop, and oh my God, there's my teacher, Mrs. Cohen.
Miss Cohen. Damn it, another little brat coming up to me again. I'm gonna have to say hi to her.
You know what I'm saying? And your accent is
won.
Very strange.
You won the debate. You
know what I'm saying? It's just, listen, I don't think there's a winner and loser here. I really don't.
Yeah, there is. The fans are giant losers.
Right. Well, the fans are the losers, but in the end, are the owners right? Are the players right? I don't think either of them are right. But in the end, I do kind of take the owner's perspective.
Well,
and I think last point. I think that brings up something else that's really interesting, and that is the strength and power of unions. Mm-hmm. Like if you look at like us, I've never been in a union. You've never been in a union.
Nope.
So maybe that's it. Maybe that's what the challenge or the benefit is being part of a union. So I'm thinking, what happens in my job if I was part of a union? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah, and I think it's good and bad, right? Because I think at the end of the day, let's face it, in the short term, and here's another thing, and this is why a couple things. One, the 2020 season, which was obviously impacted tremendously by COVID, where they only played 60 games. I mean, anybody in the midst of a healthy big contract got a very reduced salary. And I know they're, these guys, I'm talking about the big guys. I'm talking about the guys making 10, 20 million a year, 30 million a year. They obviously got a fraction of what they thought. They still only have a shelf life of a decade or so to make that kind of money. So they lost it that year. Obviously, there was a catastrophe of everybody making much less than they were supposed to. Last year was still a shambles early on with fans in the stands and pods, and you can't go in. Do you have to be vaccinated, unvaccinated? They put the fans through 2 years of garbage. Start 2022 on a lockout is just the biggest sin baseball's made, including 94. Because this is just no way they could have allowed this on the heels of 2 COVID years and our 60-game season 2 years ago. So the biggest egg on their face goes to all of them for not being able to work this out. They had 2 years. They knew this was coming. So we could agree that the biggest loser is the fans, and it's absurd that they couldn't make this happen.
And it's, like
I would say the second.
No, but like you said, they've known this date was coming.
Yeah, well, they fought about it during the COVID year where they didn't start. They really could have started sooner. They were fighting about.
They could have been
1,000
negotiating
things.
this. They could have been negotiating this for years, but they
Should
waited
have at
until
least
the end.
They knew their positions on stuff 100%.
So ridiculous.
The other thing is like, then if we're given the biggest loser so we said who's at fault, everybody's at fault, but I do think there's priority at faults. And I think within both parties, here's the priority at fault for the big honcho players that make the buku bucks, the 30-40 million dollar contracts, which were being given out up until the lockout. Right, the Mets signed Scherzer to a boatload. The Texas Rangers spent $500 million on a middle infield, and money was being poured into these guys. So big money was being paid out. Those guys are sitting pretty. The big guys get paid as well as any sport. So they're a little bit of the problem because it's guaranteed contracts. And they're making absurd amounts of money. The cheap owners are a major problem in this because they have a voting block when it comes to these negotiations more powerful than the richest owners. Because I guarantee you, Steve Cohen doesn't want a lockout on the Mets. I guarantee you the Dodger owner doesn't want a lockout.
That's right.
And there's probably another 5 or 6 that are like, no, the Red Sox owner, the Yankee owner, no, we're good. Let's play. But the 12 or 14 owners that are mid-market teams, not looking to ever pay any money, letting their best players go after they hit free agency, and the Tampa Rays of the world that no matter how great they draft, they don't keep anyone. They were fine blocking this. They're totally fine doing this. And again, that's not good either because yes, like baseball feels like the only sport where there's 10 teams that don't even try to win. Like the NFL, the Jets try to win. They're inept. They spend $200 million. They spend the same amount as the Cowboys and the Patriots and the rest. Like they just suck at it. The Lions suck at it, but they're not trying to win. The only guy not trying to win was the year the Miami Dolphins owner told the guy to throw the games and, he's going to get kicked out of the league. But allegedly. Nobody's not trying to win. And even if they are trying to turn away, even if they're trying to tank, it's for a year or two, or it's to tank to get one quarterback. The Orioles have not tried to win in a decade or longer. The Pirates don't try to win. If it happens, it's accidental.
It's true.
They don't try to win. That's not good for any sport. To me, it's just such a problem for the sport. It's turning the sport into really a sad state of affairs. And I can't even imagine being a fan of in a city where the team hasn't tried to win in a couple decades. I can't even imagine. The Mets suck at it, but they do try to win kind of. Now they really try to win. And under the Wilpons, they were definitely playing, the middle of the road. But like, I can't even imagine. It sucks.
It's true.
I don't know.
It's true. It's true. Listen, we could talk about it all day, but let's.
I know. I was fired up. Go ahead.
No. Listen, there's a lot to be fired up, and we'll definitely keep abreast of the situation because as far as I know, all the players went home and all the owners went home. So,
which is another just like nightmare. Last thing. If they're gonna go down this road, now they went down this road with canceling games, right? Which I think is BS. Only because they could have extended the calendar 2 weeks, right? They could have pushed out spring training 2 more weeks, started the season April 15th, tax day, just a little funny little anecdote, right? And then went 15 days into October before they ended the regular season with no real harm or foul there. They could have done that. The fact that the owners demanded this fictitious deadline and have now already canceled real games off the schedule, to me says they've locked in their position. They're not going to move much. And the players have clearly geared up for this long battle. So to me, the likelihood there is actual Major League Baseball games played before 4th of July is really unlikely.
That's true.
That's how I feel. And I thought it was never going to get to this, but now I don't think they're going to make an agreement in the next few weeks. Why would they? Why would they do all this to then do that?
No, not when they're walking away from the table.
It feels like it's 4th of July baseball is like when we might see baseball, which that's really
terrible.
Sucks.
Yeah, that'll be terrible. That'll absolutely crush the sport. Speaking of crushing things, Matt Harvey. Turns out that this guy was such an incredible pitcher for a couple of years with the Mets. Turns out maybe he stinks now because he was doing so many drugs. What is it with the Mets and doing drugs? Is this like a theme? I mean, it must be. And is this it for Matt Harvey? Is that it? Nobody's going to want to touch him after this, are they?
I mean, he wasn't any good anyway. So
no, I mean, that's why he was with the Orioles.
Maybe he stopped doing the cocaine, and he needs to get back on it. because
maybe that's what the problem
you
is.
can't be a Met pitcher in your 20s in New York City and not do cocaine if you're good.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard.
You have
to. I've heard. Yeah.
I think right, like Dwight Gooden falls out of a locker. If you're a good enough pitcher, he falls out of a locker and like cocaine just right out of his pocket tee. He falls right out.
No, he sneezes and it gets cocaine everywhere.
All right.
And the last thing I want to talk about with baseball is surprise, Derek Jeter steps down as CEO of the Florida We Can't Win Anything Marlins after 5 years. You surprised by that?
I never thought that was a good fit.
No, it's
like, why would you go? I mean, again, it was, you don't get ownership opportunities don't come along much. So he wanted to be an owner at the time. That was the team to buy, but no, I never saw that as a good fit. It's the worst fan base in all of baseball.
Yep.
Because it's all transplanted New Yorkers.
Yep.
Nobody roots for the Miami Marlins. They could win a World Series and play the opening day the next year in front of 10,000 people.
Yep.
And he comes from the Yankees, where they had won all those titles in front of 50,000 fans. They got millions of fans all around the country. That felt like the worst of all time.
Yep.
And it played out that way. No matter what they say about he wanted more control, this or that, it just wasn't a good fit.
Yeah, he just didn't want to do that. You ready for a trivia question?
I'm always ready for trivia.
All right.
Maybe that's not true.
We're switching to a little NFL. All right, we're going to talk a little quarterback. I got 3 things I want to talk about. Okay. Number 1 is our trivia question. Who is the active quarterback with the most Super Bowl rings?
This is going to be one of those stupid trick questions of someone who's active, but he's really like garbage, right?
Well,
is that correct?
Right.
Is my rationale there?
Well, I mean, I don't know about garbage. I mean, he's a quarterback, but he's got the most Super Bowl rings of any active quarterback right now.
Does he
No hints. No hints.
No hints.
I mean, I can tell you how many rings if you want me to tell you that.
Yeah, give me the rings.
He has 2.
Okay, so
the only active quarterback with 2 Super Bowl rings. Only one.
Yeah.
Not Mahomes. Not Rodgers.
Is Roethlisberger still active?
No.
All right.
No, he's retired.
He had 2 rings. That's why I said that.
Yep. He retired. Brady retired. He's got 300 rings.
So he's a backup quarterback, right? This is why it's a trick question. He's not even. Is he even on? He's a practice squad player.
No.
He got his leg amputated, and I wouldn't even know he still exists.
No, he's a starting quarterback.
He's a starting NFL quarterback.
Oh, I just threw you off. Yeah, he's a starting NFL quarterback. Yeah.
Really?
Yep. If you don't know, it's okay. It just shows that you're not very intelligent. I can give you another hint if you want. He did not win the Super Bowls because he played in them.
What?
He was a backup quarterback when he won the Super Bowls.
All right, so he didn't earn them, like it wasn't his doing, but
he earned them. I mean, he practiced with the team.
I don't freaking know. Just tell me.
He held a clipboard. Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh, the Patriots, damn it.
He won 2 rings with the Patriots. Yeah, didn't play, but he won 2 rings with the Patriots.
Should have thought of that. Okay, good job.
All right, I want to just briefly talk to you about Aaron Rodgers again. So,
Aaron, yeah.
So last week he actually sent this big long Instagram post that put this post out there, thanking all of his teammates for everything, and whatever. Maybe he had some kind of epiphany. And then the GM was quoted yesterday as saying his phone has not rung once for people that are looking to trade for Aaron Rodgers. What do you think is going to happen with this whole thing? Is Aaron Rodgers saying that he's retiring? Is he saying he's going to be gone from Green Bay? Is he going to stay? I mean, do we have any idea what this guy is going to do?
No, we don't have any idea. Aaron Rodgers is staying with Green Bay. That's how I feel. I do, because they're going to pay him absurd amounts of money for the next couple years.
Yeah.
2 years, 80 million or something. 2 years, 90 million.
You know what? They're already 50 million over the cap. No, actually, I think they released 2 guys. Now they're 25 over the cap.
I know, but they converted into signing bonuses. They can get under the cap. They trade some picks away if they have to.
I mean, they're going to have to, but they can't.
They won't win though. If they couldn't win this past year, they're not going to win at all. But
how are they going to? They can't sign Adams and Rodgers. I mean, how are you going to do that?
Here's the thing. If you're Aaron Rodgers, though, where do you have, I just banged my knee. Where do you have it better? Like, all the talk about like Denver, because there was some, the Packer, he got the head coaching gig, right? And so there was some comfortability there for Rodgers. Yep. He's definitely going to go somewhere he's comfortable at 38, 39 years old. He's not going somewhere to learn a new system or this or that. Yep. So there's very little options for Aaron Rodgers. And now if you're going to go pick between what you're accustomed to in Green Bay with a very winnable division, or go to Denver and have to deal with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And an emerging Charger team with Herbert, manager, Mr. Herbert. And who's the other guy? And the Raiders, who are actually pretty decent. It's a good division.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you beat up on the Lions and Bears?
And Tigers and
an old Viking team, right? Like, I mean,
it's a favorable division. I'll admit that.
But, like, why would you leave? And you're going to get paid the most by Green Bay. Because
you can't win. You can't win in Green Bay. I mean,
it's there's kind of his fault why they didn't win that game.
Listen, I'm not arguing with you, but there's other teams that he could go to. I mean, is Pittsburgh a viable option? What about Cleveland? Cleveland's got a great team. They're sick of Baker Mayfield. What do you think about him going to Cleveland? I mean, I know that hasn't really been talked about.
I know this sounds crazy because
you got some great weapons in Cleveland.
I said to you a long time ago when the Aaron Rodgers stuff was hitting the fan, he'll be a Steeler. Remember I said that's the spot. Roethlisberger was retiring. I said it's another mega franchise. If you're going to leave a historic franchise, you're probably going to want to go to another franchise similar.
Possibly.
I know Brady didn't do that, but Brady was in a unique situation where he brought a whole new team to Tampa. And they had a pretty good young team, and he wanted to be in Florida. So he had other reasons to go to Tampa from New England, and then he won a ring, so it worked out perfect. But if you're Aaron Rodgers, Pittsburgh makes way more sense to me than Denver, because Tomlin, Tomlin's a great coach. Pittsburgh has, but I don't know if Pittsburgh's any better than Green Bay.
But you know what? Let me throw another wrinkle into it. What about him landing in San Francisco?
Well, isn't that the spot they keep making the joke Brady's actually going to unretire and play?
Yeah. But we're going to get into Tom Brady in a second, because he already said no way, no how. He's done, and I'll tell you why he's done.
Yeah, I would be very intrigued by San Francisco if I'm Aaron Rodgers. That's an entry, and he played at California.
Yeah, he played at Cal. Right. He played at Cal, which is up there.
That makes total sense.
He obviously
Seattle's on the decline. The Rams did just win the Super Bowl.
Garoppolo, they're done.
Yeah,
and Trey Lance obviously isn't ready. So why not pay this guy $40 million for the next 2 years, and see if he can bring home a championship?
I mean, they did take like the third pick in the draft, and now they're not going to play him for 3 straight years. I mean, I guess.
I don't know.
If you have a chance to land Aaron Rodgers for 1 year, even.
Listen. There's
you probably do it,
but
you know what? Have Trey Lance sitting there, so it's not bad.
He also could retire.
You think so?
I mean, he's got tons of money. He's 38 years old. Maybe he's just tired of maybe because you know what he wants to. Listen, he and his fiance broke up, but supposedly they're talking and they may get back together. Maybe he wants to retire so that he can just be with her. I mean, nobody's really talking about that. Maybe because I think maybe their schedules, the fact that they're so far apart, that's what kept them apart. But what happens if he retires? He moves to California with her.
And then he unretires halfway through the year, plays for the Niners, wins a ring.
Well, I mean, listen, there's a lot of things.
The Niners makes a lot of sense. I like the Niner angle. I think there's something there. I think, listen, he is a little bit of a weird bird. Maybe he just retires. Maybe he looks at all his options and he says, I don't think I could win in Green Bay, but I really don't want to play for another team to still lose.
Yeah.
So maybe I just retire. Maybe.
And remember, his dream job is to host Jeopardy. So maybe that is an opportunity for him too.
I think he should host the show Password. You ever see that show?
I have seen that.
The password is retired.
Whatever the case is, I think he's got some other aspirations, and I think it might center around him actually getting re-engaged and married. So we'll see what happens.
Season 6, Aaron Rodgers takes on John Kreese in Cobra Kai.
I like that. That's a good one.
With the man bun.
Let's talk about Tom Brady. Tom Brady is producing, and he's going to appear in a movie called 80 for Brady. That's all I know about that. But I can tell you one thing. It already has 3 Academy Award winners that are going to be in this. Jane Fonda, Rita Moreno, and Sally Field. I don't know if you know who those people are, but
yeah, I know who Sally Field is.
You know who Rita Moreno is?
Rita Moreno, no. And I know
She was one of the stars. She was one of the stars of the original West Side Story. The other one was Jane Fonda.
Yeah, of course, you know Jane Fonda.
Jane Fonda. It's because you do her videos, so I understand that.
And 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and feel the sweat and feel the.
That's exactly right. I've seen you with your leg warmers on, man. You look good. But you know, Tom Brady is branching off. He's got the clothing line. Now he's getting into. He's got his production company, and now he's in this. He's got this film, and now he's getting. You know, when you're Tom Brady, you're going to attract big names. Whatever you do and wherever you go. So when he gets into producing movies or whatever he does, he's going to get big names. And as you can see, he landed 3 Academy Award winners to be in his movie. And these are famous people. So to me, that tells you this guy, he's done with football. He's ready to move on to the rest of his life and become a billionaire, you know? So that's that. So I thought that was
TB12.
So I wanted to just bring up one other thing. I know we don't really talk much about NCAA basketball, but did you realize on Saturday what happened? It was something historic that has never happened.
7 top 10 teams went down.
Is that crazy?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9.
Dude, you're good. Wow, that's good. You are really good. Yeah. So 7.
I caught up on a little college basketball. I get into it right now. This is an exciting time.
Well, now it's exciting because now it's March. But I love how weren't we just talking about Gonzaga? Weren't we just talking about how like what are they going to lose to a team like St. Mary's? I mean, they play nobody.
Yes, they did.
Then they lost to St. Mary's
easily, by the way, by like 10.
Yeah. But it was funny because they had won 34 in-conference games in a row, and 33 of those were by at least 10 points. And then they go and they lose by 10. Which was pretty crazy. And then you look at a team, TCU, right? TCU beat Texas Tech last Saturday by 3 points, and then they turn around 3 days later, and they beat number 6 Kansas. So TCU. All of a sudden, man, it's these teams are playing. They're like, hey, we're not ranked. We want to get an at-large bid.
I tried to explain to my son, right? So he's getting into college basketball a lot, and I tried to explain to him how when you're on the road in college basketball, you're almost like an underdog, even if you're like way better. College basketball is like unique that way. It's like crazy. He likes college football a lot. And he's been watching it for years. And usually the better team just wins. It doesn't matter where they play. Like if the number 3 team in college football goes on the road to play an unranked team, that game usually ends with a big, comfortable win. But in college basketball, the team who's unranked might even be favored in the game. I was trying to explain to him how it's a very different sport, and like don't look at the rankings because there's upsets every day. It's like it's a constant moving. So he was just like taking that in, and then Saturday happened, and he goes on and he sees all the scores and he goes, Dad, I mean, I know you said like the top teams don't always win, but what happened?
Yeah, seriously, right?
Look at this, because there's never a day in college football where 1 through 6 loses. Like
no, it's
college basketball. It's not as abnormal. So
it's. I mean, you see these games. I mean, these crowds go crazy. You know, like Duke, all they're doing is jumping up and down and screaming the entire game. Like, how do you? I mean, it's so distracting. I mean, how do you? Wow, that's why you see all these top teams. They're so phenomenal at home.
In college basketball,
not great on the road.
It should be a rule that in college basketball on your home campus, you only have a stadium of 5,000 seats. 5,000 packed in, sweaty, hot, loud. That's the greatest atmosphere.
No air conditioning in the building.
20,000 seat arenas suck. They're not good for college basketball. You want 5,000 crazy fans painted up, screaming their brains out.
Standing room only. That's right.
Been drinking since 10 a.m. It's 7 p.m. tip off.
Yep. You got to get like you got drunk people wandering onto the court in the middle of the game. You know, like
you see all the fat heads behind the basket, the signs that are like, "You're a loser."
That's the best. I love that.
You're a loser and you failed your AP class. I know you did. You cheated on yesterday's test.
Now, in the NBA, those guys are allowed to walk into the stands and get those fans kicked out. I mean, that's the difference between the two. You know,
the guy that spent $1,400 on his front row seat, actually $14,000 at Madison Square Garden. That guy, he ate popcorn and said I wasn't a good free throw shooter. Get rid of him.
He said my mom is ugly. Let's get him out of here. I mean, it's like so. It's like
I know they're really babies now. It's the COVID. I think it's some of the COVID years of not having any fans.
All right, let's go with a little quick hodgepodge. How good did you feel about Obi Toppin winning the slam dunk contest at the All-Star game?
Move on.
Okay. It was kind of cool though that Karl Anthony Towns, a 7-footer, won the 3-point contest.
I liked it.
Okay, a center winning that, it was pretty crazy. And let's be honest. The NBA All-Star Game is the biggest joke of all of the All-Star games out there. The final score.
The Pro Bowl is the biggest joke.
But you know what? I think
in fairness,
I think they're about the same. Let's be honest.
They played one-hand touch last game.
No, they didn't. No, they weren't even touching each other. But I think the game rules were the winner is the team that scores 163 points first.
Yeah.
I think if they hadn't stopped the game, it probably would have been over 200. But Stephen Curry hit 16 3-pointers and scored 50 points.
Steph, yep.
Okay.
Good for Steph.
How many of those do you think were contested?
I mean, how many of them were half court shots though?
Probably most of them. Let's get into a little high school. Your man Bronny, you know how much I like his father. Bronny. He is projected, which is good because, you know, his family doesn't have much money. He's projected to make $5.1 million in NIL deals before he graduates high school.
Wow. Okay.
He's good.
That's literally spending cash for him. He doesn't need to spend anything.
That's his allowance. He's like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
But come on. Is there any other reason besides the fact that he's LeBron James's son?
No, I mean, I think he's a decent player. That's all.
He's a good player. I think he's a top 50 player in his class. But come on, $5 million. If he's not LeBron James, there's no way. Anyway.
He should just give away his money to like kids that need it.
Yeah, good luck with that one. NCAA, what'd you think about Juwan Howard getting suspended, the coach of Michigan?
Juwan, I think that he needed somebody to call a timeout on him.
Oh my God! Like what coach goes after? What coach punches another coach? I mean, is that what happened to sportsmanship?
I mean, it was like an open hand. It was an open hand smack, but yeah, it was bad.
Still, he was part of the Fab Five, and I don't think those guys are really great sports.
He's from your conference, your Big Ten.
That is true.
Which, if I have to see another Joe Lenardi bracketology putting half the 10 of them in the conference. It's like it doesn't matter what their record is. Michigan's like 15-13. He's like, they got some quad 1 wins.
They're gonna be a
if you can't even play 500, can you not make the tournament? What world are we in?
Let's not.
I'm a little sick of the Big Ten, to be honest.
Yeah, well, of course, I am too. But I do like the fact that Juwan Howard, he's always known for having a perfectly shaped goatee. It always looks perfect. I mean, I don't know who his barber
good on
is.
Juwan Howard's bobber.
It looks good on his head, right?
Yeah.
Olympics, worst ratings ever.
I don't watch anything.
Do you think it's because they were in Beijing, or people just aren't interested in the Olympics?
I think the Olympics sucks. I do think the time change made it brutal.
You think that's what it was?
Yeah, and I do think all the drama around it. And I think people don't like watching live sporting events with no fans.
That's also true.
It takes a lot away from it. The experience sucks. Like there's nobody at these games. It looks dreary, and it's in a communist country that we're having problems with, and then COVID, the whole thing. I think the time change does matter, because even when the Olympics are very popular, when they're across the world, they never do as good back home.
I agree.
So all those reasons.
I agree. Last but not least, before we get into our last topic, U.S. women's national team, they beat New Zealand 5-0. Congratulations, team.
Nice.
There was actually somebody that scored a hat trick in that game, and the hat trick was actually scored by a New Zealand defender.
That's awesome. Good for her.
So she actually scored 3 goals on her own net.
Oh, that's not good.
You didn't catch that one? U.S. won 5-0, and the New Zealand defender scored 3 goals.
That's embarrassing.
Right?
At least it's New Zealand, and she's not going to have her head chopped off.
That's exactly right. South America. That's it. They're coming after you, man.
She doesn't make it home. They're like, "Where's Sally?" Sally's not.
She scored 3 goals against her own team. I don't even know how she did it. I don't know. Maybe
that's
they just
got to be hard to do. By the way, that's really hard to do.
It's impressive. I don't know if anybody's ever done that before. It's pretty.
Yeah,
impressive.
That's pretty hard to do.
We got 2 famous athletes that died. I want you to tell me who they are. One of them is Charley Taylor. Do you know who he is?
Charley Taylor sounds like he might have played basketball, football, or baseball, but he might have also been the star of the Andy Griffith Show. He was actually a receiver for the Washington Redskins, aka Commanders. No, it was the Redskins at the time.
Yeah, Redskins. And when he retired, he actually was the leading all-time reception leader in the history.
Good
of
for
football.
Charley. Good for Charley.
That was in the late mid 70s when he retired. And
Nice.
the other one that passed away this week was Emile the Cat Francis. Do you know who he is?
So that name definitely sounds familiar, but for whatever reason, and this doesn't make sense based on that name.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought he was a hockey player.
He was a hockey player. He was a little guy. He was like 5'6" or something.
Oh, he really was a hockey player.
Yeah,
I knew the name, yeah, but I couldn't. Okay.
He was a hockey player, but the reason that he's famous, I think, is more as he was a goalie. He was also a coach of the New York Rangers in the 60s.
That's why I heard the name. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, and
cool.
He was a coach in the 70s. I want to say.
Go Emile. Oh, sorry, Emile. Actually,
not Emile, but anyway. So both were good signers to the mail. So I have some autographs of those guys, but it's unfortunate.
Nice.
Anyway, so another great show. Phil, welcome, man. It's nice to have you back. I wanted to let everybody know that we do have 2 former baseball players that have committed to joining us for a show, and it's going to be super exciting. I've talked to them both. They're both going to tell us about how they got to the majors and some great stories. One of them is a pitcher, and one of his great stories is about the time that he actually faced Hank Aaron. So really excited for that. Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. We should be recording those. It could be as early as next week, and we'll get those out shortly. But everybody, thanks for joining in, and we'll look forward to talking to everybody soon. Remember, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your family, tell people you like, tell people you don't like. It doesn't matter. We're growing. Let's keep it going. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the format today. Phil was in a really odd mood. I think maybe he's changed since he's turned 40. I don't know.
A little jovial.
That's right. But thanks for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you soon.
See you.